Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about 8 Eyes by director Austin Jennings in his directorial debut. And this film is a bit of a 1970s throwback film, but unlike some of the films we talked about earlier this year that were also 1970s throwback films, this one is more focused on very specific types of exploitation films. In particular, stuff like Last House on the Left, as well as stuff like European films, like Lucio Fulci films. And Dario Argento films, and they kind of smash these concepts together into a rather unique movie. Another one I kept thinking of, and he's not an exploitation director, he's a completely different type of director, but the way the movie opens with its title sequence was very reminiscent of like a Sergio Leone film. With like the type of sweeping music and the credit font they're using and stuff. It's apparently a Vinegar syndrome film.
I saw that.
Who is mainly known for like restoring old exploitation films. So I'm not surprised that they would make this type of movie in particular, because it feels like those kinds of old exploitation films. The premise is you have a couple on vacation in Serbia who encounter this one local who sends them on this crazy fucked up journey that may or may not lead to their deaths, but we'll talk more about that in the spoiler section. This movie is very much like Serbian Chainsaw Massacre. Well, this movie kind of has like 3 different sections. The first section, like the first 30 minutes of the movie, are kind of like a condensed version of Speak No Evil. Where you have like a couple on vacation, they meet this guy, and this guy keeps taking them further and further down this fucked up journey with all these red flags that they either keep ignoring, or one of them keeps ignoring and the other one keeps like going, hey, that's kind of messed up, right? Maybe we shouldn't keep following this guy. And then you have the next section of the movie, and it's kind of like a cross between like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a Hostel. One of them goes missing, and then they end up getting accosted by a fucked up family. That's kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But then you have like the last act of this movie. It goes psychedelic.
It goes right into the Fulci.
It's like we're straight up in a Fulci or an Argento film with the gore turned up and the psychedelicness turned to 11.
And that's also when like the Goblin-inspired soundtrack starts to kick in.
And we get these weird like lighting effects that happen, like the movie gets more colorful, and we get these like chemical effects they would do back in the 70s to like show a drug trip. But it doesn't feel like it's digitally done. It feels like they did it like with the actual chemical process they would have back then.
It probably is digitally done simply to save time, but like they did it in such a way that it looked old school.
I have no idea if this was actually shot on film or if they just emulated it. But I bought it. While watching it. I never once doubted what it was filmed on. We'll talk more about that third section of the movie in the spoiler section, because that's when all the real spoilers happen. But overall, I dug this movie.
A lot of fun.
Starts off as a kind of movie I've seen a million times, then goes into another kind of movie that I've seen a million kind of times, then becomes this third movie that just takes it over the top.
It takes a complete left turn.
I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Blah, 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 blah.
The guy who plays the local, this character named St. Peter, he is just increasingly more uncomfortable as the movie goes on. You start to see these hints of anger. You start to see these weird like tangents he would go on that like speak to some sort of weird resentment he has towards Americans and stuff. Are we going to go turistas on their ass or some shit? The couple is interesting because they're not the most likable couple. I still enjoyed watching the movie even though they weren't super likable. It feels like this couple was on this vacation as like a last ditch effort to save their marriage. And you can kind of feel that in the weird resentment in between everything they say. And so you have this situation where the guy keeps wanting to go along with St. Peter and what St. Peter's doing, but the girl keeps seeing all the red flags going like, maybe not.
No, and like you as the audience see the red flags to the point where you're just sort of like, look, whatever fucking weird fucking foreigner death wish you fucking have, we don't need to be part of that.
So you have the guy who keeps painting her as like some sort of buzzkill, but as an audience member, you're sitting there going like, no, she's right. You shouldn't go in there.
Don't do that.
We don't know what this guy's gonna do to you.
Yeah, you're not being asked to go into a sex club. You're being asked to, whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. It just keeps getting fucking weirder and weirder. And he like leads them to the ruins of this like plant that used to be like this hustling, bustling plant back in the day before like the many wars that Serbia has like dealt with over the years.
Yeah.
Springs on them that they have to spend the night there. And she's like, no, fuck this. And the guy's like, oh, why are you being such a buzzkill? And I'm sitting there going like, what do you mean? Why is she being such a buzzkill? This is like some sort of like abandoned nuclear plant, and he just led you there without telling you beforehand that you're going to spend the night there.
Yeah, I could be taking chromosome damage right now.
And every single location inside this plant looks like a place where you're going to be fucking mugged. Like,
yeah, I would think twice about spending the night here with friends.
Now, St. Peter keeps playing upon like their desire to not be like racist.
Right.
Like, he's playing upon them being like privileged Americans and stuff like that, and like, why are you looking down on us or whatever. But you can tell it's a manipulation tactic over the course of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some point you just gotta say like, nope, I'm just out. I don't give a shit.
But here's the good news. Just when like the couple's like resentment for each other starts to become like a little grating, the movie shifts gears into the second movie.
Yeah.
And then it finally shifts gears into that third part of the movie, and that's when I was just like, oh, like I really like this movie, actually. I was not expecting it to go in this fucking insane direction, because it does.
Yeah.
It's insane for this type of movie anyway.
Yeah, the entire time they're kind of hinting at the idea that the girl might have some sort of psychic power.
Yeah.
Like some sort of like telepathic awareness.
She starts hearing like voices speaking to her at these random locations.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, you're trying to figure out, is like she talking to like ghosts of people who died there? Or is there some sort of like other spirit trying to contact her? Because there's always this one woman's voice that keeps coming in and calling her name and stuff. And so you're like, what is this all leading to? And on top of that, St. Peter himself does these weird behaviors where it sounds like he's talking to people that aren't there.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to figure out, like, is he praying? Is he like his dead mother that he referenced, or his dead sister that he referenced? Like, what's he doing here? This is weird.
Yeah, because he'll just like randomly just be like,
yeah.
What is he muttering?
Because he has a thick accent, right?
Yeah, he already has a thick accent. And so, like, when he starts just, like, mumbling to himself, like he's praying to somebody, you're like, what is he doing?
And he'll, like, walk up to, like, a wall and be like, show me what I need to see. And you're like, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? Who's going to show you what? What do you need to see? All of the questions that you build up over the course of the movie get answered in the third act, which we'll get to real soon, because I can't think of much more to talk about.
No. It really is all about that final act.
The cinematography's good, the acting's good, and when it gets to the final act, the psychedelia combined with the gore is thumbs up.
Yeah.
Overall, I enjoyed this movie. This is perfect, like, rented on stream material. It's currently available on Shudder. That's how we watched it. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoiler section so we can talk about what happens in this final act that is so crazy. It turns out that St. Peter is the head of a family of fucked up individuals. And these individuals all seem to have some sort of psychic connection to their dead mother, who herself was a clairvoyant and a psychic.
Yeah.
That is the voice that the girl has been hearing throughout the entire movie. And it turns out their whole goal in this whole scenario is they prey upon people searching for ones who might have that voice in their head, because they want to replace their dead sister and expand their family with more members that have this very specific psychic ability. It's all of your 8 eyes opened.
Yes.
The third eye, right? In this family, they have 8 eyes that are open.
Yeah.
The third eye is just the beginning of their journey.
Yeah.
Naturally, the girl in this equation, the girlfriend / wife, she actually does have this psychic ability. So she actually is a good candidate as a replacement for their dead sister. But she don't want none of that shit.
No, she don't want none of that. These people are weird.
So when she finds this out, she essentially turns into a final girl.
Yeah.
And starts like killing these people off one by one.
Yeah, and this is like after this extended psychedelic sequence where she's locked in the attic with the mummified remains of the mother.
Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah, like
right?
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's like there's candles everywhere and a TV set where old recordings of the mom are like talking to her as she starts to lose her mind, and then the psychedelic starts, and then the voice starts explaining what the 8 eyes are, which it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't matter.
And then the face on the VHS recording starts talking directly to her. Using her name.
Yeah.
And referencing her past.
Yeah, and as each of her 6 additional eyes open,
and her mind's constantly blown.
Yeah, and her mind is constantly blowing to the point where, like, they put wax in her ears to keep her from hearing the outside world so she can only hear the voice.
Yeah.
Those things blow open.
Yeah.
And because her mind's blown.
Yeah.
And, oh my God. And she starts seeing
the future before it happens.
And how each of the members of the family came to be in the family. She gets flashes
You
of
get
that.
little flashes of their origin stories.
Yeah.
She kills them all in a very gory manner.
Yeah.
There's the guy who gets his throat slit and like fucking gushing everywhere. There's the guy who she fucking guts, who's constantly running around naked with this like wax mask on the whole time.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Leatherface of the family.
Yeah. Oh my God, when that guy first appears, you're just like, oh!
He's introduced Dick first.
Yeah. Really fat guys. He's got this huge gut, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
It is not a pleasant sight.
Great.
Not what you wanted to see. This is also after her husband has been fucking brutally murdered by these people because he couldn't hear or see anything.
Yeah. No use for that.
No use for that. They fucking smash his head open with this fucking round mallet, which looks like a ritual device. I don't know what it is specifically.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't look like a normal mallet anyway.
Yeah, it looks like something they specifically made to like crack people's heads open for during this ceremony.
Absolutely. And so the movie ends with her getting away while she keeps getting all these voices and these messages in her head while she's driving. And St. Peter, who's the only one left, goes to the bonfire that he's been kind of praying to over the course of the movie and slits his own throat and kind of joins his family on the other side.
Yeah.
And there's this like implication at the end when she gets back to New York and she's like doing the
scrying thing on the glass.
Yeah, that the whole family was doing, that like even though she got away, even though she killed them, they're still in her.
Yeah, because the idea is like even though they're dead, they still speak to her. Like
exactly.
She can never escape them.
Pretty wild ending for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre style movie.
Yes.
It kind of elevates the movie beyond just being a 70s throwback film.
It does. Like this movie's a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it.
It just got better as it went on. Like I was ready for it to just be a stinker.
I was worried that was going to happen too, because in the beginning when it was just like Speak No Evil Light,
we saw this movie and there's a remake of it. Why do we need to do this again?
And then when I turned into Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm like, okay, so there's a little bit more going on and there's some fucked up imagery happening. Like the fucking naked dude walking around. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit more interesting.
I am entertained.
Yeah.
I am entertained.
But then once it got to like the psychic revelations, the answering the questions of the voices in her head and what the fuck St. Peter kept praying to.
Yeah.
And why he kept referencing his sister and all that stuff. Once all that stuff was answered, that's when I was just like, okay, this movie is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm down for this. I like this.
This is worth watching. This was totally worth it.
If you were looking at this movie on Shudder going like, do I want to watch it? Yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I absolutely enjoyed this movie. It's not necessarily one of my favorite movies of the year, but that speaks more towards how good the horror movies this year have been.
Yeah, this is a solid 3.5 out of 5.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me here on YouTube every 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I stream and we talk about horror, sex, occasionally Transformers, because they're more than meets the eye. I like all those 3 things, and most of my life revolves around those 3 things. But that's just me. How about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag earwax. Use the hashtag earwax, that way I know, that way Jack knows, that way the whole world knows that you can hear what others cannot. And what you can hear is
You know, 1 out of every 10 people can hear that message.
It's true. It's true. Are you that one person? Comment below and let us know.